My topic is 12 tips to do better job interviews. Not in any particular sector, in every sector hopefully, okay? I have a PowerPoint. We have a slide problem with the PowerPoint. If you give us your details afterwards, we can email you the PowerPoint. It's a very simple PowerPoint. And this is also gone out on our Facebook Live account, and will be there for archive afterwards if you want to see it afterwards as well. So the 12 tips I want to go through are number one, before you do a job interview, read the job spec until your eyes hurt. Okay? Read it until your eyes hurt. What exactly is the employer looking for? This is a prescription the employer has put out there for somebody to come in and do a particular job. You need to know that job inside out. The job spec wasn't published just for the fun. It's there to demonstrate what the employer is looking for, okay? As a general rule, when we engage in career development or career movement, we tend to be quite inward looking, and we look at ourselves and what have I got, how am I going to do, how's my hair, how's my dress, how's my suit kind of thing. All not unimportant, but what really matters in a job interview is what is the employer looking for. So read that job spec until your eyes hurt. Secondly, tip number two, in the exact same spirit, talk to somebody currently working in that organisation or previously working in that organisation. You've got to know this thing inside out, okay? You've got to turn up on the day so familiar with this job, almost as familiar with this job as you are with your current job or a previous job. Again, a common error people make is they rock up not well enough prepared to talk knowledgeably about the organisation. When you know your stuff, when you've talked to somebody there, when you've read the job spec very closely, you're much more confident going in. You've much more of a feeling that I'm kind of bulletproof here today. I can handle whatever comes my way today. So it's like over-preparing so that you won't be caught offside or caught, on the wrong foot on the day. So talk to somebody working there or who previously worked there. How? I don't care how. Get on LinkedIn. Ireland is a very fraternal country. Find out somebody working there. In 8 years working in this industry, I have found only one company that I couldn't find a single thing out about. And the person who was going for the job was a great operator in terms of networking with people, and he couldn't find a single thing about the company either, okay? In 8 years, with thousands of candidates, only once has it happened, okay? So if you don't know enough about the company, it's because you haven't tried hard enough. End of story, is my opinion on that. Third one is you must talk to somebody who works in a similar company, somebody who's a competitor, who's a rival, who may have previously worked in this company. You need to know what other people who know this industry see in this company. You need to know what they're about, what moves they're going to make, what changes they have already made, all that kind of thing. And people working in other companies, rival companies, often know a great deal. Read the company website again until your eyes hurt, but remember other candidates are probably doing the same thing. That doesn't steal a march for you. You steal a march by conversations with people who work in the company or who work in a similar company. Next one is talk to HR if you can. Somebody has called you to interview. It is becoming more and more commonplace now for a note to be at the bottom of the email you get saying, for confidential or discreet inquiries, ring such and such a person, okay? Even if that's not there, I will try and get talking to somebody in HR. You can ring on the pretense of something small, just double checking something or whatever, but the company is trying to find the best candidate. It's in their interests to help you whatever way they can. Now in some organisations, particularly public bodies, there might be a suggestion of favouritism or one candidate got another bit of help more than somebody else. And if they can't talk to you, they'll tell you. But you're losing nothing by ringing. And in the private sector, people will frequently talk to you. And in that conversation, you may learn one or two things of value. Because your job on the day is to turn up really knowledgeable about this company and what this role entails. So this is part of your research. Don't skimp on it. HR have rules They will abide by their own rules. You as a candidate owe it to yourself to try and sell yourself into the job. So talk to HR if you can, and as I said, they won't let you. If that's a problem for them, they won't be around telling you, okay? You'll notice that we're still talking about the company as we go to point number 5. We need to stop looking always at ourselves and need to look more at the role and the company before we look at ourselves, okay? The next point is decide what the winning candidate will look like. If you were to write down the winning candidate in this job will have the following skills, will have the following experience. This is what they look like, okay? Once you have that kind of identikit picture in place, you can aspire to go in and be that candidate. The obvious point here is if you realise, well actually I don't look like that candidate, A, you're probably going for the wrong job, and B, you probably won't get it. So this is not about just sort of bending yourself to fit the job spec. You need to look like the best candidate, or potentially the best candidate. And as I said, if you're not fitting that picture, you're going for the wrong job, okay? But if you're going for the job you know you can do, it's a very worthwhile exercise to draw that sort of profile of the winning candidate, all about helping you to understand what you need to talk about on the day in the interview. Because you can control a great deal of the interview by having knowledge, by having insight, by being confident, and by knowing where you want to bring your answers to. This is a sales process. If you were buying a car and you went to the local car salesperson and you told him, I want a car to go on holidays with my partner and my 5 children camping in France, you would hope that salesperson would show you a Volkswagen Passat Estate, not a Fiesta, okay? That's the same situation here. What is the employer looking for? Can I be that solution, okay? So that's 5 of our 12 points covered. In our 6th one, we start coming to you. Having drawn up that profile, having drawn up that picture, you now need to start saying, what in my experience to date, be it my training, my education, my involvement in community groups, various other things, what of all of that matches me to this job? So we've started with the spec drawn up by the employer and all the other anecdotal stuff you've picked up in your research. So you maybe have 10 points here. Beside that, you should have 10 examples or 8 examples or the maximum number of examples you can have that match you to that job, okay? And when you write down that information to match those points you've just made, therein lies the sort of ingredients of your interview. This is what you're going to want to talk about on the day, okay? So now you're taking a lot of the guesswork out of the interview. You're sort of putting your own manifesto together that you can go in and talk about these things. In the absence of that kind of a manifesto, you're at the mercy of the interviewer, you're at the mercy of your own babbling on without any thought, and going to places you don't necessarily want to go to, and you're running the risk of missing the point of what the employer is looking for. When you have it, you're way more confident. You feel like, well, no matter what comes here today, I'm pretty well covered. When we go to examinations, we all know the feeling of going in, having chanced our arm a little bit, not enough work done, hoping that Clark or Kavanagh comes up. When you have the work done, you're much more confident, and whatever comes, you can feel you can handle, okay? It's important to remember the winning candidate will not do a 100% flawless interview. You don't aim for perfection, but if you did 80%, you might get the job. If you won 8 of those 10 categories we've identified, you might get the job. This is not about becoming, totally something you're not. Every candidate has merits. You're not going to win every single section, but if you've got down on paper before you go in, you've got a much better chance of being the winning candidate. Point 7 draws on the last point is, having written down your examples of what you have done to date, prepare your stories around that. So there's a huge growth in the whole area of competency-based interviews right now, where you're invited to tell a story. I'm sure most of you have heard of the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. There are various other methods as well, all of which are designed just to help you tell a story. And the story helps to illustrate your suitability under a particular heading. So it might be leading people, it might be managing budgets, it might be introducing a company to a new territory. It could be lots of different things. So having written down what you have, start preparing your story. So when I started in company ABC, the company did not have a salesperson in the West of Ireland region. I was appointed as a salesperson. It was a new territory. Here's how I went about building that profile of the company in the area. Here's the results I achieved in terms of customer growth or turnover growth or whatever. And that story that you tell illustrates or highlights the competency that they're looking for. You need to know that story well in advance of the interview. Do not be in the interview flapping around hoping it comes to you, or the experience we've all had coming home in the car, oh God, I should have said that, okay? I'm not saying we're going to eliminate that completely, but by preparing your stories beforehand, you reduce the chance of that happening, okay? 8th point, in every answer, try to talk about what you have done, the experience you have, the achievements you have, but also, crucially, what this means for the company, what value this brings for the company. And I summarize that as past and future, or me and them. In the past, I did the following. This can work for your company in the future in this way. And that's a representation of the page we talked about earlier on, what they're looking for, what I have. In your answers, try and get all of that across as best you can. Again, you won't do it perfectly all the way through, but try to do it as well as you can, okay? On that, we have a workbook that will help you with that. If you want to email getthatjob@slinuacareers.com, we'll send you on that workbook. Know what makes you special. Know what makes you the best candidate, okay? Maybe one point that you have that you feel makes you really strong. You need to know that. If you don't know that, chances are they won't, okay? So work on knowing that. What is the one thing I have? Is it that new sales territory thing? Is it my contact book? Is it that software I know inside out? Know what that is and get that across on the day. That is crucial. That's the level of self-awareness you must have. And, don't look to employers to find it. Both in your CV and in your interviews, you've got to tell them that very clearly. It's your job to persuade them. It's their job to see it. Take responsibility for persuading them of what you are the best at, you feel. Number 9, practice, practice, practice. Yes, do your talk your stories through beforehand with friends, with families, with career coaches, whatever. But crucially, do not try to learn off. Do not try to learn off your answers, because the pressure of remembering the poem, so to speak, will militate against you in the interview itself, okay? So do not try to learn off. Trust your communication style. It will all work for you if you have your work done. Number 10, just touched on it a moment there. Trust your natural communication style. Stay off the stage. Don't try going out there somewhere to find language that you feel is better or, makes you sound better, or sort of what was known as the telephone voice in the old days. Don't go there. Don't try and run at a pace you can't run at. Don't try to become somebody in a communication style that you're not, because you won't sustain it over an interview. Trust your natural communication style. In my experience, almost everybody communicates very well, okay? They communicate effectively, particularly when they talk about their own area of knowledge, but trust that, okay? Number 11, aim for a knowledgeable chat. Ask a question. Ask the employers what they think. Seek clarification. We are equals here. I'm a professional. I can do this job. You're looking for somebody to do the job. It's a meeting. It's not an interview. Don't feel like you're at the end of a firing squad. Okay? Aim for a knowledgeable chat. And 10, before the frog in my throat completely takes me out. 12, go for it. Okay? It's too late to second guess yourself on the day. You've done your research, you've done your preparation, go in and go for it. What's known in the country as well off hunt for a sheep as a lamb, okay? Go for it. Don't be inside over-reading the interview panel. Don't be over-worried about them. You've done your preparation, you know what you want to tell them, go tell them, and hopefully you'll get the job. Okay? Thank you very much. I'm not sure, is there a Q&A part to this? Or I can meet people over here if anyone wants to ask a question anyway. Whatever works, so the chat over here if anyone wants to ask a question. Okay, thank you very much.